Human trafficking is the third largest crime industry in the world behind drugs, stealing, arms trafficking, and is the fastest growing activity in transnational criminal organization. Trafficking in a people is a complex.
10 seconds. Sorry.
Trafficking in a people is a complex and deeply troubling issue that reflects on both the nature and globalization.
It is a fact that Denmark has Danish Center against human trafficking. It is not acceptable that there are countries that are suggesting that Danish is not working against sexual exploitation. This is an outrage. The modern and the historical status of women in Denmark has changed and improved a lot. Women have political participation in the history of Denmark. Their mark can be seen in the fields of politics, women's suffrage, literature, and among other fields. Nonetheless, the delegate of Denmark today wants nothing more than standing for the protection of women in human trafficking and standing against the sexual exploitation.
Good morning, delegates. Today, I, delegate of Israel, is pleased to have you all, and I just wanted to start my speech like this. One move was Section 8203A of the Penal Code, which mandates 16 years in prison for anyone who sells or buys a human being or acts as a mediator in the sale of human being for purposes in Israel. Israel's efforts have succeeded and trafficking has been reduced for the second year in a row. Israel has done better in the State Department's annual report alongside other nations trying to stamp out human trafficking. Israel's location as a bridge between Europe and Asia, its original lack of anti-trafficking laws, and the ongoing waves of immigrants from all over the world initially sets the stage for trafficking crisis. But it was the massive influx of Russian-speaking immigrants arriving just before and after the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991.
As warring parties use the virus to gain political advantage and territorial control. In Yemen, under the pretext of protecting the population from the spread of the pandemic, the Houthis have further restricted the movement of people between areas in their control and areas in government hands. This has also meant additional restrictions on humanitarian access to millions of Yemenis. There is also the worry that armed groups will be keen to make quick political wins, irrespective of violations of international human rights law, while the world is preoccupied with the fight against the virus. They continue to commit human rights crimes with impunity. Over the past 2 days, attacks by Haftar-aligned militias have resulted in deliberate water and electricity cuts all over Tripoli. The solution for this issue stands in front of us. Either the foreign influences who have so considerately provided these countries with weapons, etc., should be urged in withdrawing their.
This has led to destruction of infrastructure, including public buildings, schools, and hospitals. The terror attacks have also led to displacement crisis in the country, and relocating them is a big responsibility which the government has taken with no hesitation. Though the corruption in nation is prevalent, with new reforms and bills by the Iraqi government has further helped the nation to combat this enormous problem. The socio-economic problems, along with the fault of the insurgencies, should also be because of the coalition of the USA during 2003. Thank you for the attention. Basically, a communique is a common document which is made by the whole committee together, and it obviously includes the solutions to the problem. And the only thing which is different from a working paper is that if only one vote is to no, the communique fails, so the committee fails. So like we have 5 delegates right now, so even if one of the delegate voted no, the committee would fail in a communique.
Thank you, EB, for recognizing me. The Article 5 of the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights suggests that no one shall be subjected to torture or cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment. One can face racial discrimination in all aspects of life, ranging personal prejudices and experiences to institutional racism in access to public amenities such as education, healthcare, job opportunities. The incorporation of racist and intolerant attitudes in public policies can sometimes promote and legalize racial discrimination in public sphere. As a start, I strongly recommend the government repeal the acts of its immigration law and policy framework that deputize the immigration improvement of the private citizens and the civil servants responsible for the vital public and social services.
Racial discrimination is any discrimination against individuals on the basis of their skin color. Individuals can discriminate by refusing to do business with, socialize with, or share resources with people of a certain group. Governments can discriminate in de facto fashion or explicitly in law, for example, through policies of racial segregation. Despite enforcement of laws or disproportionate allocation of resources, some jurisdictions have anti-discrimination laws which prohibit the government or individuals from discriminating based on race and sometimes other factors.
Thank you, Chair, for recognizing me. Racism and xenophobia, Germany believes that it is an issue for society as a whole. Many are even afraid to visit Germany as tourists because they fear they might be a victim of racism, xenophobia, and even sexism. And this has impacted the tourism industry in Germany, which ultimately leads to the downfall of the international reputation of the country. Racism, xenophobia, sexism, and other social evils are stains that are difficult to remove from any society. Yet, if everyone has the will to remove it, then with proper laws and a strong will, anything is possible.
UK, you are the first speaker. You have the floor for 90 seconds.
Thank you, V, for recognition. The United Kingdom is a sovereign, unitary parliamentary democracy and a constitutional monarch. The country is the permanent member of several international organizations and has readily been focused on world peacekeeping. The United Kingdom is responsible for drafting resolutions on peacekeeping, the protection of civilians, the women, peace and security agenda, and country cases such as Somalia, Darfur, and Cyprus. The United Kingdom influences the strategic direction of operations through its permanent membership of the United Nations Security Council. It is one of the largest financial contributors to the UN peacekeeping budget. The United Kingdom has also deployed a small number of its own uniformed personnel to the United Nations missions. Disputes in the context of Non-Proliferation Treaty, including the abandonment of intermediate range.
Next, we have the delegate of Switzerland.
Thank you, Chair, for the recognition. A very warm good morning to the Chair and to my fellow delegates of the world. Every penny spent on weapons fills the ocean of the blood of the innocent. I, on behalf of the most neutral state which haven't had a single war from the last 200 years, yes, it is Switzerland.
Austria firmly believes that the NWFZ in the Middle East is an essential step to establishing a permanent and stable peace in Middle East. The main aspect that makes this issue so tedious is the political landscape of Middle East. Israel and Syria are almost always at war. Iran does not even recognize Israel. And so the political landscape is very, very unforgiving to such a zone. Austria believes that the issue has become even more complex due to the involvement of the US. The US has withdrawn its support from the JCPOA and is almost blindly supporting Israel in the Middle East peace process. Austria has a good diplomatic ties with Iran, Israel, and the US, but it feels that US's withdrawal from JCPOA is politically motivated. Austria believes that stopping Iran and other countries from acquiring nuclear weapons is important, but cornering Iran globally for aggressive, unilateral, and a US-driven approach is absolutely wrong. Thank you.
So now I have received it from everybody. Fine delegates, आप सबने मुझे भेज दिया है. अब let's get to the facts. Coming to the fact again. Now, कि कौन से are related to the agenda or not. Now keep a list in front of you of all the SDGs which I have sent you, or like I couldn't share the screen, it's my problem, but it won't be a problem for you, no worries. At least keep something in front, or even if I'm saying, you can hear to that. Now coming to the fact that sustainable development goals interlinked. If you go into extremities, right? If you go into extremities, if you derive out of these out of this, you will get to know each goal is an interrelated goal, right? Each goal has an interconnection with other goal, which means if there's one goal, it has its 16 branches. Fine. Now let's get very specific for you people. If I'll go into, as I said again, the specifications and all, it will become very difficult for you to understand at this age. It is not your problem. It is not my problem. It is just that we develop by, we develop by the age group itself. When you are aware, when you are literate, when you are educated, the best reason when I say that you are a literate or an educated person is just one fact that you are aware. Awareness comes when you are educated. When you are not aware, when you are not educated, then how would you get to know, right? So it is related. Write it in your list. SDG number 4, related. SDG number 5, gender equality. Yes, very, very, very big factor. It is highly related. Women in many of the areas of the world, in many of the conflicted areas, many of the post-conflicted areas of the world, do not have an equal access. If I talk about the refugee camps in Syria, in Lebanon, many of the women have no sanitation facilities, which is very basic for them, right? No services being provided to them. Even women in normally, when you will see in our daily life also, they are inferior when it comes to getting equal healthcare services as compared. Okay, delegate. MUN begins with establishing the agenda and beginning with the GSL. Okay, मैं short में बताता हूँ. मैं अभी भी बहुत simple रखूँगा. I'll keep it very simple for you people. Now, what is the GSL is? I'll make a list of the speakers who are going to be speaking very generally on the topic. Right? You're giving a general stance on the agenda on your country basis. Remember, you are representing a nation. Do not forget that today, if you are in an MUN, your identity, your exact identity lies on what you are representing. You are like your XYZ name. If I am Giant, I am a Giant. If I am representing a country, for example, I am representing India. Then if I am representing India at any MUN, which means I am not Giant for that time, I am India for that time.